Listen, somebody has to give my man Hokuzono a break, because with the last two amazing color pages that we got and the fact that he is not taking a break next week, however Sakamoto Days is, I mean, come on. I think this man has earned it. Even though that the last two chapters haven't exactly been in their finished state and the artwork has definitely been compromised to a certain degree, the same cannot be said for the story, because right now I am still definitely locked in as to this whole battle against Yora, who is wielding the Shinichi's powers even without having the enchanted blade in his hands, which is still blowing my mind. However, in this chapter, we also get an in-depth look into how AZAMI'S sorcery works, and apparently it's an inherited ability that has been passed down through generations of his clan, and he was the only one that decided to take it, and instead of using it for healing methods, he can use it for attack, offense, and even stunning people and making their own muscles lock up, which is just insane. I love the way that AZAMI'S sorcery works, where even though he is a very strong, physical, brute-like character, we have seen him put some serious work into his fists, and we even see it in this chapter as well. But now that we know that these two coins that he carries, a 1 yen coin and a 10 yen coin, because the metal fibers and the weight of which are completely different, it actually creates a small flicker of some kind of electrical current between them just by existing and being near one another. And the Azami clan basically harnesses that electrical current and uses it to transmit that current throughout the body for, again, healing properties, but Azami is able to do it to increase his own physical strength, which is why he's so strong. But on top of that, again, he can basically overstimulate the muscles in someone else by sending an electrical current through them. The fact that Azami was able to become one of the strongest members of the Kamunabi at such a young age with an ability that wasn't even meant for fighting is just proof that this man, when it comes to sorcery, is something else. And that's actually something that I've really enjoyed about Kagurabachi, to go on a little side tangent. Not just Azami, but you have characters like Samura and even characters like Shiba, who are very clearly relegated to support roles and support abilities. Remember, we found out the bombshell of information that Tobimune was originally meant to be the support blade of all of the enchanted blades. And considering just how strong Samura Seiichi was able to become with a support type blade, I think you really see how this world gifts power to those who are able to think their abilities through and use them in ways that most people wouldn't even expect them to use. Azami did get kicked from his clan, sure, but in place of that, he became one of the strongest ranks of the Kamunabi by the age of 18. And in 3 years, he's now one of the higher ups of it. I genuinely believe that what Hokuzono has done in creating and developing some of these characters is part of the reason why Kagurabachi has done so well. Not even on a sense of relatability, but just a cool factor and an enjoyable factor of seeing characters like this throw hands. Like these last couple of chapters of this 4-way duel with Natsuki, even a Ruha being involved. And honestly, I think a lot of us are forgetting about Hokuto, because the way that this chapter ends is a significant blow is dealt to Yora. Despite Hokuto saying that it's time to get to work, we haven't seen him do anything the moment that the Shinichi's power was released. So I'm sure Hokuto is cooking up some kind of bull crap in the background, because to be honest with you, I sincerely expect that by the it's time to get to work, he realizes that as much as he wants to fight Aruha and go through this battle of the death, he also has a job to do. Because if he is one of the highest up members of the Hashaku, he clearly is just by his age, his relationship with Yora, because he understands that Yora is the leader, but clearly is on a level of comfortability with him that some of the other Hashaku members are not. He's so casual. Either he grew up with Yora or has known Yora for so long that Hokuto is so trusted, he can just do whatever he wants. So something tells me there's a reason that Yora has someone that is so buck wild like Hokuto in the Hashaku, and that's because he is no doubt reliable in some way, shape, or form. This video is sponsored by GamerSupps, the ultimate energy and focus formula. Use my code NOOP now for 10% off, and thank you GamerSupps for sponsoring the channel. And something that has been building up in the background that everyone has been waiting for what seems to be almost like 5 to 10 chapters now is the arrival of Samura and Chihiro. With Chihiro finally showing Samura that there is a chance to stop the Shinichi with the true realm of the Enten, was able to ally Samura with their cause. Aruha is shocked and insanely happy about this, which is so funny to think that, you know, you gotta have a really tight-knit friendship for your friend to quote unquote kill but not kill you, and you're just able to, you know, get over it and immediately, you know, patch things up right afterwards. What is interesting is the traitor of the Kamunabi, the leader, surprisingly enough, set up a communications barrier that has cut off Kamunabi headquarters from everywhere else in the world. Even though they want to get into contact with Shiba and Hiyuki, because Mr. Ichiki is right. Sure, they can't let the two other sword bearers die, but at the same time, if they kill the Sword Saint, all of the enchanted blade wielders die anyway, so what's the point? So now we have to wait for Chihiro and Samura to break through the barrier that was set up to keep them out of the headquarters, which Ichiki mentions it's not going to take long for Samura to break through the barrier on his own. And knowing how fast Shiba and Hiyuki are able to get places, even if Shiba just decides to teleport and pick Hiyuki up on the way, if they have to break through the barrier as well, something tells me it's only going to take a couple moments for Shiba to do the same. However, the traitor mentions this, which honestly I can't even deny because it's a very true statement. Everything hinges on a few minutes. Literally everything. Even if they're able to stall for a short amount of time, that's all they might need for the Shinichi to overwhelm. Because remember, the Rakuzachi, Chihiro and Hiyuki supposedly the strongest member of the Kamunabi with the strongest weapon, the Flame Bone, which is supposedly meant to rival the Enchanted Blades, could barely do anything against Kyora Sazanami using the Shinichi. Sure, Kyora Sazanami actually had the blade in hand. It's unclear, even though Yora has access to the power of the Shinichi, if his is a nerfed version of Kyora, because he does bring up Kyora multiple times and say, I can't believe Kyora was able to bear this. But again, maybe the sword makes that weight easier to bear. We still don't know how exactly this connection is working, besides the fact that the Shinichi is just that unbelievable and has that much unrealistic power that no one is understanding why it's capable of doing all of these things. In an instant, just one more centipede and Aruha and Natsuki are literally down for the count, incapacitated. The only one that's still standing is Azami, because he was able to figure out that the centipede ability is like one big oscillating wave attack, right? However, you're able to duck underneath it. And even though you might not be able to dodge it if you can't dodge it in time and you get hit by it, it's a severely damaging attack, you would think that it attacks all around, but actually right behind the user is the weakest force of the centipede. So technically speaking, it's more like a 378 degree, not like a 380, right? Azami is able to withstand Centipede and starts throwing hands with Yora from behind. Of course, Yora is still able to use multiple other abilities of the Magatsumi, which is Dragonfly. This just completely distorts and crumples up Azami's fingers and hands at the contact of it, which is just a huge amount of damage to be done. Even Azami is actually surprised by this. Thankfully, though, as I mentioned before with Azami's sorcery and how it works, it was able to spin a level of electrical current that overstimulates the muscle fibers of Yora, which keeps him locked in place. He starts choking up blood, getting hit by multiple different currents and pain. And then in that moment, his hand isn't even like together anymore. It's literally completely ripped apart and shattered. Yora, realizing that Azami is a true sorcerer and going, oh crap, well, this was his ultimate attack. Azami goes, yeah, no, don't worry about it. Actually, I can punch really hard too. And even with a broken arm, this man throws a critical punch right into Yora and clearly severely damages him. Obviously, it's not enough to take Yora out of the fight. One, because Yora is probably very strong on his own, but two, also because the Shinichi is just empowering him in general. The real danger to the Hashaku, and most specifically Yora right now, as he even mentions earlier, I think either last chapter or the chapter where he awakened this, is this power causes a massive strain on his body. He's not able to withstand it for long. Yora's goal here is to awaken this power now, get done with this fight as quick as possible, and then kill the Sword Saint with this power, and then take the Shinichi for himself. However, as Azami mentions in the final page, are you sure that, hanging out here with us for so long is such a good idea? Because not only are you on a time limit with your mission, remember, everything the Hashaku has been doing in this raid has been down to the wire, down to the second. They have planned everything in this mission to kill the Sword Saint with like utmost precision. That took all of the traders in the Kamunabi, all of the Hashaku members being on the same page and working together to achieve the same goal in a reasonable amount of time overlapping. Yora, not only are you over, exerting your power and your body, you can't withstand this power for so long and you still have so much more to do in this raid. Also, at the same time, you are severely holding back the plan by getting stuck here fighting with us. Or at least, hopefully that's the case, because again, with the amount of 4D chess that Yora has played, something tells me it's also possible, again, with Hokuto being absent, there might be multiple things, that could come into play on the Hashaku side. Because for right now, we are kind of at a stalemate, kind of at a neutral ground here. Azami has lost both of his arms and is definitely not going to be able to fight much longer either. Aruha and Natsuki are also severely injured. Yora is at a moment where he's definitely the most powerful in the room, but is definitely on a time limit of how long he can use that power for, and he still has multiple other things he needs to use it for. While Samura, Chihiro, and potentially Hiyuki and Shiba, after their contact is able to get through, are on their way potentially, so that's also something they have to worry about. This raid is definitely getting interesting, so definitely let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I am so excited to see, I guess, a chapter next week, and I hope it's enough time for Hokuto to rest, and I hope he doesn't have another crazy colored page to do, because sheesh. Guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, and don't forget there's plenty of other Kagurabachi content. I've got a full video explaining all of Chihiro's strength and powers. I've got a full video explaining Sojo's story. I have ranked all of the Kagurabachi characters up to a certain point in a tier list. If any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely go check it out on this channel. And don't be afraid to check out the main channel that has plenty of other content on there as well for other series that you may enjoy. And if you're reading Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, Sakamoto Days, Dandadan, or Chainsaw Man, Gachi Akuta, don't forget you can find all of that at the one-stop shop here, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching.